afternoon.
Looks like some encouraging news with all the guys you were able to have out there. Vita Vea, how much was he able to do today?
Well, he came out and did some stuff. He's coming along. We'll progress it during the week.
Todd, do you envision Ryan Jensen being put on the active roster by Monday's game?
We'll see how he is at the end of the week. He's coming along. He's practicing hard, so we'll see where he is. He's got some tests to pass.
How much was Robert Lindsay able to do today?
He was limited.
Coach, what's the one thing that you struggled at this year that you really have to improve to have a chance of winning Monday night?
I don't think there was one thing. I think there were different things. We just have to play clean football, and we have to execute.
How do you evaluate Jensen if he's not able to have contact where he's at if the first contact would be in a playoff game?
Well, you work on his movement first. You work on all his movement, and then you progress to that point and see where he is. He's not at that point yet. He's having some contact, but until you turn it up more and see exactly where he is right now, it's just still the stages of beginning.
It's different for him being an offensive lineman because you don't rotate offensive linemen typically. Like when Vita Vea came back from his injury in 2020, he was part of a D-line rotation where he played a limited number of snaps. But if Jensen's going to be active for you, I would assume he would either be an emergency backup type player on Monday night, or if he's truly ready to go, he's got to be able to go 60, 70 snaps, right?
Well, he's progressing right now. Like I said, when we get to that point, we'll deal with it. Right now, he's progressing. Nothing's changed from last week.
Is Nick still your backup center at this point?
We'll see how he feels at the end of the week as well.
It looks like you had a number of your DBs back. Carlton Davis practiced for the first time since suffering that shoulder injury against against Arizona. How much was he able to do today?
He's good to go.
Is Leverett dealing with an injury as well?
Yeah, he's got a sore leg.
Coach, Micah Parsons lines up in so many different places. Is it hard to keep track of him?
It's extremely hard. They do a good job of disguising. It's bad enough when he lines up in one place, but when he moves around on you, you got to know where he is at all times. He's a game wrecker.
Coach Bowles, turnovers are, of course, very important in any game, just getting takeaways. Are you encouraged by your defense trending in that direction, getting more turnovers in the past couple games heading into the postseason, just knowing how much everything is just amplified at this point?
Well, hopefully they keep coming. We had a big drought in the middle of the season, and they've been coming of late. So if that continues on Monday, we got a good chance.
Coach, when Chris Godwin played in Week 1 against the Cowboys, he was coming off of rehab from the ACL injury and everything, and he got injured in that game. He was able to play a little bit. So moving to this playoff game here, is it just a completely different version of Chris Godwin now from Week 1 to this game?
Well, he's a lot healthier. He played in game one, but he wasn't all the way healthy, but he's a lot healthier now. He's got practice under his belt. He's been running routes every day, so he's a little more seasoned than he was in Week 1, so hopefully that carries over.
The Cowboys have one of the best rushing red zone defenses in the league. They've surrendered very few touchdowns there. What makes them so good at being able to defend the run in the red zone with those goal line situations?
Well, they get after it. They have a couple of different looks down there that's hard to block, so we really got to concentrate and make sure we get a hat on the hat when we get down there.
The Cowboys made a run at their own division title there late in the season, but was there a time in the season where you kind of figured this game was a foregone conclusion?
No game is a foregone conclusion, so we practice till the end, we play till the end, and we play what they put in front of us.
You could have 8 or 9 guys playing active on Monday you didn't have in Atlanta. With that many people coming back, do you worry, does the communication part of that come back pretty well usually?
Communication part of it's pretty good. They've been in all the meetings and everything, so that should continue.
Now, we look back at the Dallas game from Week 1. You got to Dak quite a bit, pressured and sacked. How much did that disrupt their offense, and is that something that you look back at as you have to do again?
Well, you always want to get to the quarterback, but it always helps when you play with a lead. It depends on how the game's going and who we need to help and how they're attacking us, how we try to attack them. So it's all relative. I think Week 1 was a long time ago. I think it's different. Any team wants to get to the quarterback defensively, so hopefully we can get in position to do that. They run the ball very well. They throw it very well. So, it's going to be a tough game.
Todd, it's hard to beat teams twice in the same season. You did that with New Orleans, you went the Panthers and Falcons, you split. You're seeing Dallas for the second time now, and it's at the polar opposite ends of the season, Week 1 and now. As a coach and as a play caller, how much do you try to go back and see what worked in week one and maybe try that again until they stop it or have a counter for it? And how much of it do you really have to go in with newer, fresher ideas with them expecting what you threw at them in week one?
Well, the first thing you got to do is see what our team can do. It has nothing to do with them. What we're good at this point, we're different than we were in week one as well. So we have to make sure we're doing things we can do to play fast as opposed to what they can do to cause us to do different things. And then we'll look at certain things that they can do or they have done. But they're talented everywhere. You can't cheat anything or any defense. You got to play them honest, and you got to play them fundamentally sound, and you got to try to make plays.
How much has Pollard's increased role changed since you've seen them? How much more dynamic are they with the two men?
Oh, they're very dynamic. I mean, he's quicker than Zeke, but Zeke is still powerful and plays the game very well. But Pollard can be a wideout. He can be a running back. You see a lot more of him than you did in week one. Obviously, it was the beginning stages at that time, but he's a game wrecker.
Mike Evans said that he expected to get some shadowing from Trayvon Diggs. What makes Diggs such a difficult cornerback to go up against? And just can you talk a little bit more about that matchup?
Well, he's long. He's very fast. He's got excellent ball skills. He's a very instinctive player. Not many corners can see the ball like he can see it and still see the receiver at the same time. He has a very good knack of seeing when the quarterback's setting up and breaking before the receiver breaks. And I think that takes a skill set to do. That takes a long time. He's got it. He gets a lot of picks that way. And he's a very talented player, so it's going to be a good matchup.
Conversely, with your own cornerback, Carlton Davis, coming back off of an injury now, he typically is your left cornerback, but we've seen him in the Bengals game, trail Jamar Chase wherever he went and really kind of play that cat coverage. What in your mind makes Carlton Davis, from a game plan standpoint, without telling us what you're going to do, say, yeah, in this game we want you to trail their number one wide receiver as opposed to just playing left cornerback like he typically does? What's the determining factor?
Well, there's many. Obviously, there's who else are advantages or disadvantages for us as far as how we play. It's not just about Carlton, so he can't go match up and then other guys can't, and we can't play the run. So it all depends on schematically what we're trying to stop and what we're trying to do. That'll see whether we match up or not.
So a year ago, David, didn't get to play the last few weeks. He was battling a Liz Frank injury. He made it through the whole season at 32, had a lot of tackles. What do you make of, at his age, the contributions he was able to make this year?
A true professional. He came back. He worked out every day. He kept his body good. He kept his legs fresh. He did all the right things. Paroli did a great job with him this year in the weight room, and we did a good job monitoring him, making sure he doesn't overdo it. You got to protect him from himself sometimes because he tries to go nonstop. But it's a credit to him and how hungry he is and how much he loves to play the game.
Todd, you have experience as a player in the playoffs. You have experience as a coordinator in the playoffs. But as a head coach, this is your first go at it in the postseason. Has there been anything for you specifically different in terms of preparation and understanding there's still Friday and Saturday? Anything different for you as you head into this week?
No, not at this point. I mean, I've been to playoffs as an assistant coach, so it's a true Wednesday for us. Even though it's a Thursday, we're going to carry out the week normally. There's a build-up to the game. You don't get ready for it today or tomorrow. You kind of take it day by day, and you head towards Monday.
You've had obviously had to deal with a lot of injuries on defense this year. Now you guys got the guys back, but can you talk about just the resiliency of this defense and the progress that they've made over the season, fighting through multiple losses, including Shaq Barrett, who's gone for the year, obviously, but what they've been able to achieve, especially in the last maybe 4 or 5 games.
We play with a lot of guys, and it helped us to play with them last year. So these guys got valuable experience, and we don't expect anything to let down if somebody gets hurt. They may be a different type of player, but these guys have done a great job. Between Delaney's coming for some plays, O'Connor's played a lot. We had a lot of guys that come in and play that got some valuable experience. So if something happens, it's not a hesitancy to put those guys in there. You can go in and play with almost 2 guys deep and not worry about it, as opposed to playing with about 14 or 15 guys with usual substitutions. So those guys deserve a lot of credit.
How good is this group playing going into this playoff game?
We can play better. I mean, we can play better. We have spurts where we play well. We have spurts where we need to play better.
Donovan
Do you
Smith.
get the sense, do you get the sense that, of the urgency, after the last game, Tom said, there's no second chances now. Do you get the feeling, the vibe of your team, that they realize it? Is it a little different this week, you feel?
Oh, it's different because it's win or go home. You can't get up next Sunday if you lose this ball game and say, well, we can get it back next week and get better. So it's win or go home. There's urgency all over with every playoff team.
Donovan Smith came back for week 17 against the Panthers, and then we didn't see him this past week. How is that foot feeling for him?
It's feeling better. It's feeling a lot better.
So the first Cowboys game, you guys moved the ball well, but came away with field goals the first 4 times you scored. How crucial is red zone execution on Monday?
Well, it's big, like you said. They're number 1 in the league in red zone defense, so it's huge to get 7 instead of 3. You get 3 against these guys. They're so explosive on offense. They can make you pay for it, and it won't mean anything. So 7 points would be a lot better.
Coach, playing Monday night, advantage, disadvantage, or it just is what it is?
It is what it is. We played on Monday night during the season, so they have too, so it's not a big deal. We're the only game in town, but you're the only game in town on every Monday night. This happens to be a playoff game.
From a defensive standpoint, when you have a team that suddenly has that threat of that downfield pass, like you guys showed against Carolina with those 3 touchdowns of 30-plus yards, what does that do for a defense when you're expecting to key in on the run, and then all of a sudden that ball's flying over your head like that?
Well, if you can score fast and you can score over the top, hopefully it loosens people up when they play defense and it goes over the top. And, against Carolina, we had some success there and we opened it up some. So hopefully at least we made people aware of it.
Good.
Thanks.
Thanks,